Did you just find mealybugs on your jade plant? Are you thinking about throwing it away? Yeah, you. Don't throw that away. We can save it. Alright, we have a really big issue here on our hands. My friend's jade plant has a huge mealybug infestation. He should really be punished for what he let his plants become. So anyways, I'm going to try and save my friend's jade plant, and we will go through the whole thing and we will see it over the course of about 3 months. One of the main reasons I do not like to collect a lot of succulents or jade plants or really anything with these like real succulent style leaves is they offer really good rigid areas for mealybugs to hide inside. They can get in those nooks and crannies, and it's just really hard to get them out and treat well with spray. So I'm going to try something really radical to save this plant, and I'm going to cut everything back so I can treat things a lot better. This infestation is a little out of control, and really you shouldn't let it get this far like I have. I mean my friend has, so we are going to address that. So basically I am going to use a very sharp blade. You can use maybe a pruning shears, I'm sure it'll do just fine, but I'm going to cut things back but still try and maintain a more tree structure. I don't want to cut all the branches off, and you might see I change my mind later in the video and I'll tell you sort of why, but for now this is a good strategy, and this is really just to limit the amount of surface area while maintaining the plant structure. That way I can treat the branch and hopefully we'll see some new growth come out of it. Now, if you really wanted to, you could save these cuttings and try and treat them by soaking them in some like neem oil or something and really just abuse them heavily with chemicals and then try and prop them in like a sealed propagation bin just so you're not spreading these mealybugs everywhere, or you can just throw them out, which is what I'm going to do. Once you have everything pruned up pretty nicely, you should have just a stick basically, and like I said, I wanted to maintain most of the branches so it kind of keeps its bushy appearance. You could cut this back further, but you're just reducing area to grow back, so I wanted to try it like this first because you can always cut more off later. Usually try and cut the minimum amount and then go from there, because again, you can't really add more plant, but you can always take away. At this point, I do need to treat the actual branch, because if you look closely, there are little mealybug colonies in random areas along nodes and other growth points. They really find like the weak spots and everything, and they can start eating at the main branch. This rag is red, and this is actually mealybug like guts. I did do another video that I have not released yet that was just a plant was covered, and I basically wiped them off, and this red stuff is literally like mushed mealybugs. It's actually disgusting, but it's nice to know that I have the blood of my enemies on the rag, and then I can use it to kill more. Now, if you wanted to, you could follow this up with some sort of spray, and you will see in the future I may or might not do that. You'll have to watch to find out. But manual removal is always really good. Crushing them up, squishing them, killing them, and wiping them off is a great way to fight pests. A two-pronged attack is honestly best. There will be dates on the screen so you can get an idea of the timeline, but about a half a month has gone by, and you can see already there is a lot of new growth springing to life. I'm really surprised at how quick this thing bounced back, and it's awesome to see. However, it all looks good from far away, but up close is another story. You can see here there's little mealybug colonies starting all around the new growth, which is really annoying, and this is why I said earlier you kind of want to do a two-pronged attack. So manual removal followed by some spraying and really watching closely, because again, I really let this get out of control another time by not paying enough attention over the course of 15 to 16 days. So at this point I am going to spray them, and this time I'm just going to use an alcohol water mix in like a aerosolizing sprayer just to really get it on all the mealybugs, and this should do it. There's not that many, and they are awfully young, so they don't have that really good thick fuzzy coating, so this should do the trick. But again, we'll let these sit under grow lights and kind of see what happens over the course of time. Alright, only about 8 more days has passed. However, you can see the growth has been pretty phenomenal. These are growing quite quickly. Again, I didn't expect it to be this fast, and I don't see any mealybugs at the moment, so the spray really helped out. I'll have to keep an eye on everything, but so far it's looking pretty good. It did reject one slight branch. I'm not sure why it did that, but it's fine. Everything else looks pretty good. So we'll put it back under grow lights and leave it for some more time. Alright, another 15 days has passed. It doesn't look tremendously different, but you can see the leaves are starting to get to a more mature size. They're not so like small and weak. They're starting to get a little strength, a little more rigidity. However, I do see a few mealybugs sprouting up. Luckily, everything is pretty small at the moment. There's no big infestations, and there's not a ton of leaves, so I'm going to spray again and see if we can reduce the population further. Alright, about another half a month has gone by, maybe a little more. Again, you can look at the timeline, but things are looking pretty good. It still looks healthy. The growth is continuing to grow. However, if you look really closely, you can still see some very young mealybugs around the very like tiny crevices of the new leaves. So again, we're just going to keep spraying it and just keeping up with it. The key is keeping up with it until there is a total elimination. A lot of these pest control things are just being adamant and keep doing things for weeks and weeks and weeks until you finally have a clean plant. I am sort of alternating neem oil with alcohol. I'm just kind of picking whatever I randomly have at hand because I do treat other plants in the time being in my collection because I don't have a pest-free collection. And so I switch the bottles up every once in a while. So sometimes it's alcohol, sometimes it's neem oil. I find both work pretty well. Alright, and that brings us to almost present day from the time of posting this. It has been almost a complete month since the previous stuff, and the plant is looking pretty darn good. The leaves are actually much larger now, and although it doesn't look the same as it used to look where it was really full, it's still slowly growing back into that, and it's looking pretty fantastic. I think there is still 1 or 2 mealybugs within its leaves hiding, so it is always important to keep treating even if you think you've got everything, and follow up a few weeks at a time just to double check and make sure. All it takes is 1 or 2 mealybugs, and if you don't watch it for a while, they can get out of control really quickly. However, it's looking a lot better than the first original footage where it was absolutely caked in mealybugs. So I'm pretty glad with the progress and just what it looks like now. However, like I said in the beginning of the video, I think something that may have been more worthwhile is to cut the branches back a little bit more because it is pretty bare down around the base, and I'm not sure how to encourage those areas to activate, and maybe that can be experiments for future videos. However, like I said, maybe cutting them back a little further and making it a little bit of a shorter tree with less of the smaller branches might have done it a more aesthetic justice. But either way, I'm happy with the results so far. I'm going to continue to treat it just to make sure everybody's gone. But so far, so good.